if you do not register or give away those guns or deactivate them by October 31st, 2026, we're looking at a maximum of 14 years in prison. As a legal gun owner, become paper criminal, I'd be facing as much time as someone who commits a rape with a firearm or cause bodily harm. That is how we are treated in Canada. So the question I have for you is, do you think that's going to be enough to scare Canadians into submission? Because 14 years is not a joke.
The majority of Canadians affected by this initiative, no, we're hearing a lot of opposition to it. And look, this really concerns me because I believe in the law, I believe in reasonable laws, I believe in common sense laws that actually affect public safety. And when I hear Canadians say, I will not comply with this because it is offensive and wrong, it is an offense against my citizenship, my heart breaks because I understand why you say that, right? But the law is the law. And I understand how wrong this is, how offensive this is, and how un Canadian is. And I will never forgive this government for perpetrating this. They have brought the law into disrepute. It's a country founded on laws, it has to be governed by laws, but they have brought the law into disrepute and they have put people in the position of having to make a choice. This is not the first time. The same thing happened back during long gun registry. If you did not get a license and register your firearm, you were a criminal. And a lot of people chose at that time not to comply. It's a sad situation. And I think the majority of Canadians would agree that, look, you're targeting the wrong people. And if you want to bring really, really, heinous and really, really punitive measures against them, you're doing the wrong thing.
My buddy told me about 10 years ago when I became involved in firearms, the guy that introduced me to it, he's like, as soon as you start the process of obtaining a license, you will become extremely political. You'll start to understand what really happens. Do you think that the fact that the average gun owner is extremely political, because we don't have a choice, we always have to be aware of what's going on, is
Yes.
going to play in the favor of us keeping our guns, is going to play against the agenda that the liberal government have with this gun ban?
Well, it has since the advent of the current liberal agendas against firearms, and that goes back to 1995, in the imposition of the current Firearms Act. I mean, that was watershed legislation that imposed a mandatory firearms license for simple ownership or possession of a firearm, and mandatory registration of all firearms, not just handguns or ugly black rifles or something like that, everything, rifles and shotguns. And everybody knew at that time that, look, they're getting ready to confiscate guns. So I think gun owners have been political in this country very, very strongly for the last 30 years. And we've defeated governments and we've elected governments, and we will do that again. The Liberals have made a very, very bad mistake with this. Frankly, I thought they learned their lesson with long gun registration. I guess I was wrong.
Do you think that there's a chance that they will simply back down if the same thing nationally that happened in Cape Breton, where 12 people gave back 25 guns, if it fails that way? Because everywhere I go talking about this, everywhere I see online talking about this, people are not going to give their guns away. Like, it seems that that is a lost cause.
We're
Do you
we're, we're
think that
hearing the same
there's a
thing.
chance?
Yes.
Oh, that's all I'm getting. That's all I'm
Yeah.
getting. People are not interested. They had enough. They had enough of 10 years or 11 years of liberal policies
Do
that completely
do
decimated Canada. That's
yes.
enough.
Do I see them backing down on this?
Mike,
No.
that's exactly where I was going with this.
No, no, they will not back down on this. They will pursue this as long as they are in power. Okay. It was the same with long gun registration. After the Auditor General's report in 2003 that found that the budget for the gun registration program was 500% over budget, that was very embarrassing for that government, but they said, we will bring the costs under control and we will continue with it. And they did until they were kicked out of office. And it's going to be a similar situation today. Okay. Will they make their targets in terms of people participating with this program? No, it's ludicrous. I mean, the timelines that they have are just completely illogical. There's no way they're going to confiscate the hundreds of thousands of firearms affected by this before October. It's not going to happen. It cannot. It cannot happen. The logistics don't exist to do it. Don't forget this first stage, the voluntary stage, allows you to register your firearms so they can be confiscated at a later date. What that later date will be, we don't know. The government still hasn't worked out the logistics. And look, this is a huge country, okay? And without the participation of the provinces, and especially the major provinces like Ontario and Quebec, um, it's just not going to be able to be, it's just not able to take place. It cannot take place. There's not enough logistics. There's not enough um, manpower available to actually affect this. And now it's even an issue in Alberta where it's, we have a situation where people there want their own sovereignty, and gun rights is a very big part of that. So it's so controversial on so many fronts that the federal government is really between a rock and a hard place on this. None of this works, and none of it can take place this year because the ways and means necessary to actually collect all these firearms, even from people who are willing to cooperate, don't exist.